Hi, this is Dr. Mike Bechtle, author of The Introverts Guide to Success in the Workplace, with 5 things introverts need in order to thrive and succeed in a society that seems to favor extroverts. First, learn to speak extrovert. My son is in the restaurant business. He wanted to learn Spanish so he could communicate with his Mexican kitchen workers, but he also wanted to understand how they think and what their culture is like. So he moved to Mexico for a number of months where he took immersion Spanish classes. Then he stayed and worked among them for a while. He became fluent over time, and now he has a great relationship with his team because he knows their language and understands their world. As introverts, it might feel like we're living in a foreign country. Our everyday life in an extroverted society is an exercise in cross cultural communication. We don't speak extrovert, and extroverts don't speak introvert. It would be really easy to complain that people just don't see the value that introverts bring to the world, and they need to wake up and recognize it. But that's pretty much out of our control. It's easier if we take the initiative to learn their language and strive to understand their culture, care about them, and respect them for exactly who they are without irritation. We'll never become extroverts, but the more we learn to communicate with them, the easier it's going to be to thrive in their world. Second, challenge your self talk. I've learned that most of us introverts feel like we'll always be limited in what we can do because we're just not as outgoing as other people. So we're on a mission to survive, not to thrive. It's kind of a victim mentality, and we stop reaching out for the things we're passionate about. It becomes our default setting, and we settle for an okay life and give up hope of ever adding much value to others. We feel like we're in the minor leagues, and we just don't have what it takes to get into the major leagues. The key is to become proactive, which is the opposite of being reactive. We don't have to just react to what happens around us. We take action and change the things that we have control over and learn to accept and adapt the things we don't have control of. It's like the old serenity prayer. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Our temperament doesn't change, but our skills can grow. That's why we need to challenge our self talk and choose a mindset of constant growth and skill development that fits exactly who we are. Third, move from comparison to contribution. There really are just as many introverts in society as there are extroverts. But since extroverts are the ones doing most of the talking, it feels like we're in the minority. We're just not as obvious because we think more than we talk. We're actually fluent in silence. So when we compare ourselves with the success of others, we might feel like we need to become more like them to have our own success. But copying somebody else robs the world of the unique contribution that only we can bring. Our greatest contribution comes from being the best possible version of ourselves. So that's where we need to focus our energy. Fourth, capitalize on curiosity. Have you ever had a long conversation with someone where they did all the talking and you did all the listening, and later they tell somebody else what a great conversationalist you are? Well, listening is an introvert's default setting and our superpower, our strongest resource for building trust in relationships. It also makes conversation easier. We don't need a ton of topics to talk about. We just use our curiosity to ask good questions and then genuinely listen to their responses. Then we use follow up questions to go deeper based on what they just said. We don't just play ping pong with our ideas, tossing them back and forth. We stay curious and go on a treasure hunt. Just assume that every person you talk to knows something that you don't, and make it your job to find out what that is. Ask clarifying questions and make fewer statements in every conversation. It's a great way to connect with others in a way that's comfortable for you and engaging for them. Fifth, Live in your strengths. Don't invest energy wishing for the strengths of others. Determine what unique strengths you actually have, then make a list. Consider things like I'm a good listener, I'm a deep thinker, I'm a natural observer, I'm careful and precise in what I say, I'm sensitive to nonverbal cues in other people, I take relationships seriously. Then post that list where you can remind yourself often of who you really are. Every day, find a way to grow in one or more of those areas. And over time, you'll be able to thrive in an extrovert scented world. Well, that's it. Try putting those 5 things into practice, and you'll become a confident communicator no matter who you're dealing with.